Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Over the past few days, I have been putting a ton of hours into Black Ops 7 Warzone and the whole integration update here. And after all this time I put into the game, testing out a bunch of different weapons, playing all the different modes and everything, wanted to go through and break down my honest thoughts, my initial impressions on this integration update, on whether or not it is good or bad. Is Warzone back? What's the deal with this integration update? So obviously, as we go through everything, I'm gonna have plenty of opinions on what I like and what I don't like. I'm sure a lot of you will agree with some things and disagree with others. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below of what you think is good or bad from this general integration update. I want to start first with my positives, and I won't lie, this is the first time in a while when it comes to my general reviews. There's been a lot of different games that we've been talking about. Are they worth the hype? Are they good? Are they bad? What are my thoughts about them? Where I've spent more time on the good than the bad, which I think is very indicative of the state of this Warzone integration versus a lot of the others that we've seen over the years. First up, as far as the integration goes itself, it's not insanely broken for once. Like, I fully go into every Warzone integration at this point, just assuming it's gonna have major problems and major bugs and something is gonna be so insanely busted, and yet so far it's not the case. Surprisingly enough, like, there's not unplayable elements of this game. There's not some gun that is insanely busted. It's going to ruin the entire experience for everybody. I haven't been cheated on a whole lot so far from hackers or suspicious players. Like, this integration is surprisingly stable, surprisingly fluid, and not bug ridden like basically every other single integration update that we've ever seen for Warzone. So that is a huge win, I think, for Raven and for the Call of Duty team, that this integration actually went over smoothly. Now, maybe it's because there wasn't as much to this integration as in years past. We'll talk about that in the negative side of things. But continuing on with my pros, Black Ops 7 weapons, I think, feel really good across the board, and they feel really balanced. The 5 attachment system, as opposed to no gunfighter, really makes you think about what you're using in your loadouts and how you're building your guns, and I think that offers good parity and good variety in weapon builds, and then also class competition as well. So the general BO7 weapons feel pretty balanced, and the general meta feels pretty balanced. There's a few guns from some of the older games that honestly are still pretty good, and there's not anything that, again, is just like crazy overpowered, super broken, super busted. Like the Ion has a crazy potential TTK, but it's the Ion, so it feels like trash at the same time. Like, there's not really those outliers. There's no DMR zone or anything going on like that with the general meta, so I think that's a win as well. Obviously, the big piece of this integration update is Haven's Hollow, the new Resurgence map, and honestly, I think it's a ton of fun. Now, could absolutely just be like the honeymoon phase. It's new, it's the fun new thing, it's fresh, and so that's what makes it maybe feel a little bit better, but I think the pacing of it is really good. It's a very condensed map, so there's a lot of action basically at all times, but I think it flows really well. I don't think there's necessarily crazy power positions like insane high ground like it was on Area 99 with like the reactor and everything. It's got good pacing. It's fun to play. I like the POI sort of diversification there, and it looks pretty. That's a huge thing for me. It's not just like brown and gray. There's vibrancy to it. There's saturation. The map is fun to look at. I love the overall vibe. I'm a big fan of Haven's Hollow. This kind of goes under the radar, I think, in general reviews, especially when we're focused on Warzone in years past, but XP earn rate in this version of Warzone feels really good. I feel like every time I do literally anything in game right now, I'm getting a challenge completed. Like, I get a calling card unlocker, a tier on a challenge, and that's XP going to my player level. I'm leveling up weapons fast, although most of mine are maxed now to begin with anyways, but XP earn rate seems really solid here, and that's especially good for free-to-play players who did not buy Black Ops 7, who didn't want to spend that money. They obviously now have to level up their base rank and then also their BO7 guns, and it seems like it's not too difficult to do so in general Warzone right now across Battle Royale and across Resurgence. You can do a lot pretty straightforward there, opening chests, getting kills. You're going to level up a lot and get a lot of XP just for playing the game naturally, so that I think is pretty rewarding, and that's nice to see there. Another big thing is open matchmaking. It is officially in Warzone, so skill is minimally considered, and it feels like classic COD matchmaking to me. There were some matches where I had some absolute cheeseburgers in my lobby, and I was able to just fry like it was nothing and get some very easy kills, and kind of felt bad because those players didn't really know what they were doing in a gunfight. I was able to finesse pretty easily. I had other situations where I was running into guys with top 250 clan tags and calling cards or whatever else, and it's like, oh, yep, that guy's sweating like crazy. He wants this. More power to him. And so that was, you know, a nice balance. Some lobbies felt very easy. Some situations felt very easy. Then the next gunfight, the next squad fight was a little bit more hectic because the enemies were good. Most importantly, my connection felt good the entire time when I was playing Warzone. I didn't have crazy high ping games like I was just a little bit ago in BO6 Warzone. My matchmaking time didn't take too long, which was, I think, solid as well. Pretty standard for Warzone matchmaking. Didn't seem necessarily faster than before, but it didn't feel like I was waiting forever and ever to find a match either. So open matchmaking feels decent so far. Then lastly here on my positive takeaways, I think the perk balance is fantastic. I really got to think, okay, this could be really beneficial for that, but if I'm in this situation, I really want this perk. The perk 3 balance is insane because all of those are good. We're going to have a full perk meta video and a breakdown coming in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. But I think they did a really good job balancing perks as well. In general, I think this is probably one of the best versions of Warzone, especially at launch for an integration that we've seen maybe ever. This is, I think, a really well done update and a really well done integration. However, it's not without its flaws. So let's focus on the negatives now. First up here, my biggest beef, I want to play the new content. I want to play Haven's Hollow. And when I'm sitting here in my squad and we finish a match of Haven's Hollow, we back out to the menu and it says I got to wait 10 minutes to play on Haven's Hollow again because I'm on a Rebirth Resurgence rotation. I'm not a fan of that. I have been playing Rebirth since Blackout. I have had enough of this map. I think it's a good map. It's just repetitive now. I'm tired of it. I don't want to play Rebirth. I do want to play it when there's snow on it, which I think should have happened now as opposed to in like 2 months. But I don't want to play it now. I want to play the hot new thing, and that's Haven's Hollow. And having these on a Resurgence rotation means I constantly have to sit here and wait for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, unless I want to go and waste a match on Rebirth and just mess around to get back on the Haven's Hollow playlist rotation. So not a fan of them splitting those into just a rotation instead of having it dedicated for each map if they have to have Rebirth in right away. Haven's Hollow is a good enough map. It could be there on its standalone. We could rock with that for a little bit. Not a fan of Rebirth being in there. Then next up, on the flip side, we're talking Resurgence. Battle Royale didn't really get any attention, and I'm pretty disappointed by that. I've said this since the start. Every time we've talked about the Verdansk updates, ever since they revealed it at COD Next, I said, wow, that's insanely underwhelming. If you're a Battle Royale fan versus a Resurgence fan, kind of feel bad for you. And I'm kind of in that same boat, honestly, because 2 new POIs on Verdansk is not doing it for me. Now, I do think the weekend LTMs will be a cool thing as those start to roll out over time. That could definitely change things up because we'll have grapple hooks, we'll have wall jumps available in those LTMs. So that could be fun. That might spice things up. But the map itself is so integral to whether or not the game plays good. And Verdansk, again, kind of the same thing as Rebirth. It's just kind of monotonous. It's kind of boring now. It's a good map in my opinion, but they're hardly changing it. And there's so much opportunity to change it. And quite frankly, I just think we should have Avalon. Avalon should be the big map right now for Battle Royale, and then comes to Blackout in the spring and everything. But Battle Royale just did not get enough attention for this integration update, and that's why this doesn't really feel like a full integration update. And maybe that's why it's not as problematic as in years past, because it's much smaller in scale, it seems like, compared to full-on new ones where we saw a brand new big map and a new Resurgence map or other things like that. This one felt a little, not even a little, it felt very underwhelming for Battle Royale in general, and nothing major is going to happen there until season 2 or the spring. Their time frame is kind of weird. They've said both now. When we get Avalon, when we get the Blackout experience, that's when I'm going to be very excited for the Battle Royale experience. Until then, I just don't know how much time I'm going to spend on Verdansk or in Battle Royale because it's just the same old thing. So I'm probably going to be in a lot of Resurgence going forward. Another thing, still talking on modes here. What happened to Plunder? Why'd they take that out? There was no need for that. It's a mainstay. People play Warzone just for Plunder. And I know some of you are going, what? No way. Yes, there is a huge chunk of players who only want to play Plunder. Camo grinders typically want to play Plunder. I'm really surprised that that's not available at launch, and I think that's going to be a major drawback for quite a few people expecting to see that there so they can level up their new guns in a less stressful environment, and it's just not there. They have to play casual instead. So bit bummed about that, even though I don't ever really play Plunder outside of testing things. I understand there's a community there and they should have something to expect, especially in a major update like this. Audio, as far as gameplay goes, still needs work. Footstep audio is just not consistent. It's not reliable. I can hear people on certain surfaces. If they're running on wood or if they're running inside of a building on some metal, I can hear them then. I really can't hear footsteps consistently otherwise, and I have a good audio setup. It's not a, user error here. It's a general gameplay design where footstep audio is just not consistent enough, and this is not anything new to Warzone. It was the same issue in BO6 Warzone where they're inconsistent, the same issue in MW3 Warzone where they're inconsistent. MW2 footsteps sounded like a nuke was going off, so you knew where everybody was and you could never move without being punished. So they can't find the right balance there. Footstep audio and general audio definitely needs some work. And then, surprisingly enough, I'm struggling to find true cons with this outside of some of these obvious ones. Like, yes, it's annoying if I feel like maybe die around a corner in a weird fight, or a little bit of shoot first, die first, because the COD servers are still not great. But the last main thing I have here is the weapon bloat. We all know Black Ops 7 weapons are going to be the meta this entire year, maybe until like season 5 or season 6 when things typically open up a little bit more. And the game's going to be ending anyways because everything's a hard reset with MW4. So we know they're only focusing on BO7 guns. They basically said this to our faces in the patch notes. They said, hey, legacy weapons from BO6 and MW3 and MW2 are there for nostalgia. They didn't mention a single patch note for any of those guns. So we've got 200 some guns in the game, and they're only going to be focusing on the 30, 40, 50 BO7 guns that we'll have by the end of all the seasons. Which only opens the door for problems. And while the game is not very problematic right now, the more we see weapon tuning and the more we see different changes happen, it's only bound to have an update where there is a broken MW2 gun or a broken BO6 gun that causes major issues because there's 150 plus guns that are just bloating the game and not getting any attention. I understand you want the nostalgic aspect of those guns being in the game, but if they're not going to receive any kind of attention or balancing or promotion, they're kind of just taking up space on our hard drives, and they're kind of just obnoxious there to then have to worry about, oh, did they accidentally break this random attachment for an MW3 gun because they adjusted this in the rifle category? There's going to be unintended consequences in the meta because of all this weapon bloat, and I just don't think it's necessary at this point. Definitely not 4 games worth of guns. You could have had, just BO6 and BO7 weapons. Maybe that'd be a little bit better. Still iffy. I feel like at this point, weapon bloat is going to cause more harm than good with certain updates. Over time, it should be fine once they actually hone in on things, but there's always the possibility that something just breaks, and I will not be surprised when it happens. I will make videos on it though when it happens, because I'm very confident. I'm sure it's only a matter of time on that. But overall, like I said, this is probably the smoothest we've ever had for an integration update, and definitely one of the better states of Warzone that we've been in a long time. Verdansk launch was pretty solid, but that hype didn't last that long. Now there's not as much hype for sure, just because COD is down bad right now, but it's a good state of Warzone. Like, it's honestly, it's feeling really refreshing and very fun. First time in a while, it hasn't felt like a chore to play. So looking forward to it. I'm hoping that some future updates continue to build off of this and not introduce issues, but also it's COD, so I kind of have a feeling they're gonna introduce some issues. We'll see, time will tell. But I do think this is a pretty solid Warzone integration and a pretty solid iteration of Warzone as it stands. It's gonna wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like while you're down there. If you have other thoughts you want to leave on what you like or don't like about this version of Warzone, what you thought about my opinions here, leave me a comment down below and hit that subscribe button if you want to make sure you're always in the know for everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.